Expert on jihadi movements, Wasim Nasser. Hello.
Hello.
Wasim, if you could start off by giving us a picture of what's happening on the ground then at the moment.
Actually, the Taliban got near the city in a step-by-step way. They started by taking checkpoints around the city, then military outposts, then military barracks, and then they entered the city and they controlled up to 7 districts inside of the city, which pushed the police forces and the military forces to set back and try to protect government facilities, as for example, as the police headquarters, the intelligence compound, the main prison. Despite this, we saw images issued by the Taliban saying that succeeded in freeing some prisoners, but we don't know if it was from the main prison or from other prisons around the town. Anyways, fighting is still continuing, and we know that there was many failures for governmental forces. For example, from witnesses on ground, they said that the police forces didn't have the right ammunition to use during the siege. We know also, since the government was saying that the roads around the town weren't cut and the Taliban were effectively cutting the roads, that reinforcement didn't reach the city on a good timing. The military forces were forced to take a longer route, and they were ambushed all along this road. So the situation is very complicated on this level, and fighting is still ongoing. Those images we're seeing are issued by the Taliban themselves, showing them inside the city here in one of the squares inside the town, and it's a 12-minute compilation of footage, and we see in this footage how they took the region or the area like in this step-by-step way, despite the fact that residents inside Ghazni were saying to the officials, Ghazni is 280,000 inhabitants in the city, were saying that the Taliban were closing up on the city since months, and saying that even some local journalists reported that even the Taliban were taking taxes in some towns and villages just next to Ghazni. So the situation was evolving since months, and this is the outcome today, the fighting inside the town.
So it's a real embarrassment for the government. What does it say about the security situation in the country?
It says that the security situation isn't handled at all, and we can see a map that was made. The source is the Long War Journal, the American Long War Journal, and we see that the red districts are the contested districts, the gray ones are held by the Taliban, the yellow one are that the Taliban are claiming to handle, but we're not sure yet from other sources. So just by looking at the map, we see how the situation is complicated. We see where the town of Ghazni is situated, just next to Kabul, knowing that the road between the two towns is being cut by the Taliban now. And the implications are very important because Ghazni is very close to the tribal areas in Pakistan, which will enable the insurgents of the Taliban to move more freely between all those districts. And it shows that they have the ability, as they did in Kunduz a few years ago, to enter those towns, despite the fact that they're going to be able to stay in the town or not. They were able to overrun the police forces on those, which is very important and very embarrassing for the government, but also for the United States, which is still implicated in Afghanistan with up to 14,000 soldiers. Today, special forces are fighting next to the Afghan army in Ghazni. We have also the involvement of U.S. Air Force, which is really relevant in this kind of battle. So there's much implications after this Taliban success, if we may say so, in Ghazni, knowing also that there's the Doha meeting between U.S. representatives and Taliban that took place without representative from the Afghan Taliban. We know from the Afghan government, sorry. We know also that the Afghani government is trying to work on a second ceasefire as the one that was implemented a few months ago with the Taliban. So today, the Taliban are showing their force and able to have more cards in their hands for the upcoming negotiations.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Wasim.